All right, trade deadline's coming up. And I'm going to tell you right now, Hornets, get rid of everybody. Everybody. There's no reason to keep anybody outside of the youngsters. And when I say youngsters, I mean the youngsters that look. Melo, Miller, Williams, I was like Nick Smith. Yeah, they stay. It's cool. What? That's fine. That's fine. I ain't talking about them. But pjwashington, Bridges. If you can't book night, I was like, PJ. If you could get something for Kylelowry and Hayward, do it. Now, I don't expect us to get anything for Lowry or Hayward, but just because their money is too big to really give it to somebody and get really minimal stuff back. Like maybe if it's another expiring contract or something like that, where like you can send out Lowry, get like somebody that's like coming off the books and like a pick that's just sort of like for instance, if you are able to trade Kylelowry to the Knicks and we get Evan Fournier's contract back, which I think is done after this year, but they also give us like a second round pick or one of those low first round picks. To me, something like that, I'm like, do that all day. I was like, Fournier ain't going to play just as much as Lowry not going to play, or I was like, I guess Hayward had a little bit of a big role, but in that same sense. But you get a pick back. And I'm like, the Knicks need a backup point guard, so I'm like, that's something to me that I'm like, okay, that type of deal, that's fine. But something else of like some big contract that just like somebody's waiting to get off of or somebody, I was like, it's not worth it. Like, I mean, there was a time where I was like, I sort of would have like just have John Collins and PJ, but everybody loves PJ, and I get it. I was like, he's not bad on defense, but I'm just like, yeah, but Collins seemed like he had so much more untapped potential than when he was on the Hawks. But yeah, I was like PJ. I was like, he's somebody that I'm like, with our team, he doesn't really need to be there. He's somebody that has graduated to the point that he's solid. He needs to be on a team that's playoff, where you don't have to rely on him, but he can still do things for you, and he can go off for like a game or two or something like that. I don't know where that would be or who that would go to. Once again, he's also young enough to where you could probably get something good back for him. Like a player, maybe a first round pick, something like that combination. If you're not asking, to me, kind of like we're not in the position of asking too much for these guys. Bridges, I don't think you really are going to get anything for him other than the relief of not having to deal with any of his stuff. I feel like that's really what that trade's about, because he's coming up where it's like he's going to have to be paid something. It may not have been what it could have been, but it's still going to be something. Do you feel like paying him? And also, I was like, while it has subsided quite a bit, that still lingers on with his whole thing about being gone for with the whole case and all that other stuff. So would you rather just let him, for both parties, or just breaking off, going to a new spot, being new, that whole thing? I think it's sort of in best interest to see what you can get for him and go ahead and send him off in his merry ways. He go to a team for the rest of the year, and then he just ends up in the free agency instead of it being something that we got to linger over or debate if we really want him or whatever you want to say in that type of regard. So I think it'd just be better just to go ahead and get him something. I know I said Book Night name. You're not getting nothing for Book Night. I was like, you're not getting nothing for that. Yeah, and Hayward, to be honest, he's probably just gonna be a buyout candidate. His money's too high, and he's not good enough to be a rental. To me, he's probably gonna be like Kevin Love, where he just get bought out and then he ends up on the championship team, maybe the Heat, considering all things. Uh, Lowry, I think you, like I said, I think you can trade him. I think you can flip him for something else. I think his money, like it was like it's high for the Heat, but it's not high for a team that's trying. Like like I said, like the Knicks, they don't have big money in that type of way that's like concerning to where you can't get him just for a minute. It just could they like for instance use a spot somewhere else. But no, Hornets, go ahead and just like if you get like some young people back in the process that like maybe you don't have to pay them yet, but you get to at least evaluate them or see them. I'm willing to take that. Something like for instance like the Bulls and Patrick Williams. I was like, they're awfully low on him. I was like, I mean, he ain't really done much anyway. But I'm like, you can get him on cheap. I'm like, if you get rid of Washington, something like that, or just bring them in. I was like, that's the only way I could see ourselves being buyers. It's just something like that. Nothing out shocking or nothing like that. Like there was some report about or I think I seen somebody suggest like Wiggins, and I just don't think right. I was like, Wiggins, while young and he sort of fits with the timeline. Him being in the NBA so long and how he's been, I don't think he fits the timeline. Like, say next year, Miller take the next step, LaMelo is healthy, and Mark Williams takes another step. Then I'm like, okay, cool. That swing for Wiggins would have been fine, and if we would have been able to switch off Wiggins for Hayward's contract back, like when it was still like about 2-3 years in, then I'm like, cool. There, I was like, I'd rather have Wiggins, who's younger and at least is going to be there, even though he sometimes disappoints on like productivity, than Gordon Hayward that we're paying a lot of money to that doesn't even give productivity or reliability. But Wiggins doesn't work like in this situation unless Golden State gave like they gave us like a pick ascendant type of deal. But just clean slate. Just go ahead and start the full rebuild. LaMelo's still young enough. I was like, he just got onto his new contract, but there ain't nobody else you got to sign right now. I was like, if you get rid of PJ, I'm like, you don't have no money on the books. Bridges, same thing. I was like, unless you picking up like young people and like in this type of movement or whatever, if you got to be a third team to facilitate, that's fine. I really wish they would sort of do like Oklahoma City, that if they did do something like take on like players with their contract, that it'd be somebody who had like maybe like 2 or 1 years left, but they come with a first round pick. Cause that's what Oklahoma City was doing. They would take the first round pick really, while like Derek Favors is like, all right, cool, we're just gonna run out his contract. Or Kemba, we're going to reach a buyout. Or Horford, we're able to flip them or something like that. But do you really trust the Hornets to be like that in the organization? That's a problem. But yeah, I think they should be sellers and only buying on young players that still got a little bit of length in their contract. Now, I think Patrick Williams might be coming up on an extension, but he ended up been playing well to give him the extension. So anyway, I was like, Hornets, wipe it all out. Especially now we're going into the new ownership and stuff. Just I'd rather sort of just be building for the future than me trying to do this mixing of let's get this veteran, not a person who's been in the league a while, a veteran that's too like Scary Terry was a fine pickup, I think, compared to like the Gordon Hayward thing. The Gordon Hayward thing that was like in the comparison. But anyway, we'll see what the Hornets do. Maybe they'll just be. I don't think they're really, to be honest, I really don't think they're going to make any moves, to be honest. But I could see them being a participant in order to facilitate trades for like some of them other major teams. I can sort of see that maybe that's how like Book Night gets moved, just because it's an added piece to make stuff work, and we get like like 2 second round picks or something like that. I can see them doing something like that. Maybe we'll see. But anyway, trade deadline coming up, so we're gonna see how this all falls out. Anyway, we'll see.